Good evening, good evening. It looks like we are good to go on here. I promise everyone that I do have a new countdown thing I'm going to start out here. I just haven't had enough time to test it. I'd like to roll it out to Patrons to just get some opinions before I rolled it out. I thought I'd give them that aspect there. We'll go into the topic at hand in just a second here. For patrons, I just want to update. If you posted something, I posted some follow-up questions and asked for a few extra photos on backsides of things. New video up. There's a new what sold posting, and then I responded to everybody just after lunch. So everything's been answered. If you've got something else, post it. Next video will be up either later tomorrow or Saturday for sure. You'll have two more. The rest of that video I would hope to get up by Sunday, just to let you know. It's a long one. A whole bunch of items are covered in there all the way. Next one I think has slides, placemats, and a few other oddball things in it. But just an update. So if you haven't been over there tonight, pop on over. You got a bunch of new content up. Topic at hand, safety-wise. Now, I did a video the other day about nasty emails and things like that. I've been not as much inundated as some videos, but I got quite a bit of comments. I had a lot of people even send me emails that they received from eBayers and things like that. It was an eye-opener for what other people have seen too. I mean, it's not unexpected or anything else like that, but far too many people, I think, risk things and have a problem separating personal life versus business life. And that goes with everything you do, like even with safety. One of the biggest, let me check back over here. I'll call out some names and things. I think content today I want to cover because, again, we're coming into the biggest rip-off season of the year, fourth quarter. That's where all the rip-offs happen before Christmas. So usually by November, people are already doing all the scams and stuff so they can get the money in before Christmas so they can have Christmas money. That's usually what happens if you ever worked in this industry. I worked in brick and mortar, and we usually had to hire extra security and things like that no matter what kind of business I was working in. Even on restaurants, I had off-duty police officers working from, walkouts and just all kinds of different stuff. I've learned that if there's even a tiny remote chance of you getting hacked or somebody doing something, you need to fill those little spots up and cover it up. So, because otherwise someone's gonna poke at your weaknesses and get you one of these days. One of the biggest ones, and ones that I was honestly and sincerely really surprised that a lot of people, and this is no criticism towards anybody, this has always been a business standard in my book. So I guess, I come from a business background, is a P.O. box. I was just really surprised that I talked to quite a few people across different gambits, and a lot of folks don't have a P.O. box. It doesn't matter how big, how small you are. A P.O. box is an instant way to separate you legally from your personal life. If you run it out of your home and you're giving out your home address to everybody who buys from you, if somebody has a vendetta against you or anything, all they got to do is buy something from you under a different name and you'd never know it, and they'd have your address and all kinds of information. I know this is something that sounds a little simple to some folks, but if you've never run a business, it may just seem counterproductive if something like is returned or something. You're going to have to go out and get it. Now, I don't like going to the post office at all, so don't get me wrong. I would never want to have to run to the post office. Everything's picked up at a location, wherever we happen to have the mail at that point. And the post office picks it up, or UPS or Airborne or whoever. I keep saying Airborne, but whoever we're using at the time is the point. On eBay, my send from address has pretty much always been a P.O. box. Always. My return address always has been a P.O. box. You need to separate that. If you've got kids and a wife or something, it's a safety factor. And I'll give you a couple real, true, honest-to-God stories. I've talked about them before. My wife was even on the channel a few years back and brought up this exact story. I was out of town. I was traveling for a company I worked for. I was a regional manager. I had 3 states, so I traveled a lot. And there was an issue on something on eBay. It wasn't our fault. I don't remember the whole story on the issue. But my wife did, the same thing we would always do. The person got furious. And on like the second or I probably even have a copy of it around here somewhere, I would imagine. But like the second or third one was death threats against my wife. I'm out of town. I can't do anything. I looked at, my wife told me, hey, look, you better check and see where this guy lives. And, you know, he was local, enough local where he could have driven somewhere. And you know, at that point we had a P.O. box. But people with malicious intents, they're all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason. I'm not trying to pick on anybody or make any statements on that regard. I'm just it's being safe across the board, and it's such a basic. You can get a small tiny box for like $30 every 6 months. You know, $5 extra a month. And I know for some maybe that's a bigger deal, which I understand. But as soon as you're able to, you need to literally bear your actual address, put a P.O. box in there, and that is strictly for safety reasons. It's not like if you're doing a brick and mortar, people come in your store. Most stores have cameras. You're on film. They can probably get your plates from the parking lot, and you know, on and on and on. People can use many different deceptive ways to use false registrations and all that sort of thing. And I know eBay catches probably the vast majority of them fairly quickly if they don't get them before they even open up account. And I do believe they do that. So in defense of eBay for once, I know. But it's a big factor. Now I got a whole page of things that we personally have done through the years to, and again, I treat my business, my reselling business, as a full-fledged business. It's not just me selling out of a house or me selling out of a warehouse or using storage facilities or whatever the case may be. That's not what it is. It's a full-fledged business. I'm not treating it as it's just my home business or anything else like that. From my standpoint, it's I try to treat it like I'm working at a corporate place because you cover yourself better. There's standard operating procedures. Anybody who's worked as a manager, and I know there's probably, in fact, there's 2 people I can see right now in chat who I know for a fact were managers in the same industries that I was in restaurants. I can see them right now. I'm not going to call it names because I'm not going to share other people's information, but there are 2 people in the feed. One of them I've personally talked to about bad restaurant experiences and things like that. But it's protection. That's all it is. And the same goes if you're big enough for phone service as well. Get a secondary phone that's not tied to your address, that still routes through your phone. There's many different services that will do that. Basically, it forwards a phone message or a phone call coming in from somebody else to a number that's not your main number, and then it's like forwarded through to your number. There's many services, and I'm not going to recommend one specific one. I have no stake in any game, and you know, it's all preference, I guess. There's probably half a dozen companies that do that. Just look it up, forwarding and second numbers and things like that. It's all legal. There's no like secret thing. It's landlines basically is what we're talking about with that one. I would think they would go hand in hand. A lot of people may not assume that. These are just common, in my book, safety things. Another one that I would honestly always, and 100% always recommend, never ever deal with somebody off platform. Always go through the platform because there's always more of a track record of everything said from both parties. So if something happens, you can literally use that information. Let's say they're just emailing you or something like that. If it goes through eBay, you've got a lot more backup on it. You know, having a official location in the whole works. eBay's software on tracking MAC addresses, and if you don't know what a MAC address is, it's the very personal address on your personal PC, laptop, and things like that. I know there's ways to, you know, fool somebody with that, but the common person sending a threat or something doesn't do that. I'm just telling you, it's more advanced. It's someone like me maybe might, but it's not every Joe Schmo out there. The common person who sends threats, just angry people, I guess. But those are things that I would highly recommend. We're going to go through this, and then I'll hit some names and things like that because, again, I got a whole bunch of questions on elaborating more. They're worried and things like that. They've been, you know, hit up. They've been harassed in the past. I hear that all that kind of stuff happens through eBay, through other platforms, off platform, and things like that. Update everything in your PC. I know that may sound, you know, like it's going to happen automatically. If you don't go through, either get an app that does it for you or go through Device Manager and check some of those. You're probably going to run into some either on your motherboard. And again, you don't have to be an IT person to do this. All you got to do is go to the file folder if you've got Windows. I don't know on Apple, that would be, you'd have to dig into that. But on your PC, click on the search option under Files, your little file picture, and then type in Device Manager. And it's going to pop up Device Manager. Click on it, and you can literally see a breakdown of everything in your PC. And you can right-click on each one, expand them, right-click on the ones at the bottom, usually are the ones that I see that aren't. These are things that can allow a backdoor into your system or anything along that line. Now, I've got two different firewalls. We've got an internal subnet and the main subnet, so it's a little harder for folks to do that. Again, I am safe as best as I can. Another thing I always recommend along the computer side, I've done this, I've went to other people's houses and I've helped them with it too. People drive around with equipment where they can pick up your Wi-Fi from the street. There's actually a map that everybody on the planet can look at that shows where probably your Wi-Fi signal is at any given point on the street at your house, so somebody could drive by. This is a national setup. Anybody can see it, and I promise you it exists. I've seen it. I don't know how many times. We were on it at one point, but we turned down our Wi-Fi signal so it doesn't go out to the street. You can adjust those through your gateway. Pretty much, it's something you should be able to do on your own just through a quick search on Chrome. Just type in Wi-Fi signal adjustment or something along that line. Getting the gateway address is fairly easy, so nothing to that either. Just type in how do I find my gateway address, and boom. So that's the basics on that aspect of it. Another thing that I do, and I honestly and sincerely recommend everybody doing, have some really darn good virus protection and use Malwarebytes. Even if it's just the free version, I don't get a dime from it. I've used Malwarebytes where other ways and means didn't work. It's even helped with some rootkit issues that we've had years back. And I've always recommended it. So if you've got something that locks your system up, sometimes Malwarebytes can come in there and just weed it right on out, opening it in safe mode and then going in and opening and running Malwarebytes. You have to update it before you do that, though, because in safe mode you won't be able to update it. So you update it, then you run into safe mode and do it. I know not everybody knows what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to confuse or throw stuff in there that maybe non-IT people would get. But Malwarebytes is a free version. There's a free version, and that's all we have. I've paid for it once or twice, and I could have done the same thing with something else. So now here's a big one that may not seem, again, like a huge ordeal for those of you who are new to reselling. And I know there's a lot of folks who are just getting into it with the economy and the pandemic and all that stuff. Have separate bank accounts. For crying out loud, have separate bank accounts. If you have a business bank account and everything from a platform routes through it, not only do you have trackability, you can prove where the money's going with the IRS. You don't have to say, well, this is my money and this is the business's money and the whole works. Even though you may be the only one running it, some of the money is owned by your license, or whatever case, if you're running an LLC, is owned by that. It belongs to your investment in a company, so to speak. Like if you're an LLC or a corporation of some sort, or anything, a Corp S or whatever the case may be, those all play a part in this. And again, you're going to get to a point, if you're doing this long enough, anybody out there will hopefully get to a point where you'll get the LLC and you'll get the S Corp after that. You're advancing your business. Again, these are all things that I would say the separate bank account is essential. Let's say something's screwy, and I'll give you a true story that somebody has reported to me. eBay charged them like $1,800. It wasn't US eBay, and I'm not going to holler a name, but the person said it once or twice on the feed about the amount. It was $1,800 they were wrongly billed. They had a bunch of stuff up online. eBay pretty much shut them down, and they were pulling it from their account. And of course, if you only had one account and it's your personal account, they could take every dime in there if something like that happens. It was either that or they were going to shut her down and legal action. It was a bunch of stuff going on. I don't think it was ever fixed. I think it was lowered to some extent, but I don't think it was ever removed. So again, if you don't have everything tied together in one single account, that can't be done. Once before, our accountant, and I still use them, a mistake is a mistake. I'm not going to get into how it happened, but they accidentally charged us early on in our business when we first got them. We had been with them like for 4 months, and they charged somebody else's income tax to our bank and to our business account. Our accountant has access to our business account. Many accountants do it that way because it's all digital now. Just FYI, it's not an odd thing. It's something I've looked into and investigated long before I ever signed up for it. But I don't keep that much money in there. It was a big company. It was a lot, thousands of dollars in 1 month for that. And I never kept enough in there for that to happen. So it did bounce. I got my money back for the bounce from my accountant. But the point is, if I had them all in one account, they would have just taken the money, and Lord knows how long it would have taken to get back to you. So you're saving yourself from the possibility of these types of mistakes happening. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. I don't know the whole story with the eBay issue with the seller in question with the 1800. I don't know. I believe every word the person told me. I've talked to that person for like 2 years at least, probably. At least on a monthly basis, sometimes much more than that. So, I look into stuff. I don't just assume things are straight. And it does seem that stuff has happened. I've had other people tell me that in the past. Not very many, but enough to say that mistakes like that could happen. I've been double billed for things. I've talked about always checking over your bill. It's a duty, I would say, for you to do it. If, let's say, you think it's only going to be a couple dollars. If the mistake happens all the time, it's not worth you wasting your time looking through it for a couple dollars. It could be happening every single month. It could expand and happen even more and more and more. I've seen individual bills that were double billed for like $150 for stuff in 1 month. For me, $150 is well worth me spending an hour. So it's not usually more than, they'll say 30 minutes at the most, I would say. But it's once a month. Look at it for once a month. 30 minutes is worth the possibility of losing $150 or whatever the case may be. And I go, that's back to safety, because financially wise, if you're just getting into this and this is your income, you need every dime of it. I've been there. We ate the ramen noodles for a very long time, so the kids could eat good and stuff. I had nothing coming in other than what we could sell, from stuff we found. No exaggeration. That's literally where I started off full time in reselling, making nothing from anywhere else, no job, and very little money in the bank after college. But anyway. Now I'm going to, again, go over these. I don't want to spend a bunch of time. I'll let you ask questions if there is any concern in any of these here. Separate bank accounts, as I said. Change your password at least once a month for every single account you have. Every single one of them, change your password every single month. If you're smart, you'll set an alarm, set your calendar, hey, change the password. Don't use the same one ever again. Use them only once. Have some setup if you want where this one's it changes this way or whatever the case may be, but at least once a month. If you want to be really smart, every other week. I know it's a nuisance, but if you've got your key accounts that you do that with, you'll be much safer. You probably wouldn't need to do that, every other week with like your electric bill and whatever else you're using online. But any of your online accounts like that, I would honestly use it, especially if you're using your home address for your business. If somebody lives locally and buys from local, they can go through your garbage and get enough information to get, your identity basically stolen. I mean, it's not that hard these days. So, you've got to be diligent. I know there's services that will help you and protect you. There's ways you can do it too. Google, in all honesty, is fairly good if you use like Google Passwords or something. I've got another thing that we use, but Google Passwords is pretty good because if your information shows up in a hack, you'll get a notice. You'll get a big red warning notice, or yellow. I don't remember what color it was, but you'll get one of those, and it'll say you were in this breach, you were in that breach. Because a lot of people's notices from companies that were breached to you is probably going to your junk mail usually. It looks just like a corporate, response. It's not a return or a forward or anything else like that. So anyway, let's move down here to follow the rules of the platform. Again, let's say someone's trying to rip you off. And you've been known on eBay to violate this rule or that rule. They've given you a little leeway here and there. Now it comes to a case where eBay could lose a customer who may have been buying from stuff on eBay for years. but they're looking at their account, and this may be the first time anything like this has ever been happening to them. Now, your account, you haven't followed the rules all the time. So they may not side with you, even though you've been on a long time. The other person may have been on longer and never had an issue. So if you've had a few issues and they haven't, even in a court of law, that if that's, taken into factor, that's why you may lose a case. But follow the rules. It's not worth your reputation, your account, for a few extra bucks selling the wrong thing or trying to weasel through the system when eBay told you not to list it or something like that. Or selling stuff that shouldn't be sold on the platform either. Sometimes you may not know it. Jarts, the lawn darts, that's one that I know catches a lot of people off guard. I remember as a child, my parents had a set of those. They're probably still in the garage. My mom probably still has them. I remember when it hit the news that somebody was hit in the stomach or something, if I'm not mistaken, with one of those lawn darts. I mean, they're heavy. I still remember having a lot of fun with them, but they're dangerous. They were outlawed. And you'll still see people trying to sell them, but they'll sell it as just the box. There's nothing in it, supposedly, but, from the way it looks to me, they're selling the box and the darts, trying to avoid it. Just like the fireworks, trying to say the wrappers, and no, bang, loud wrapper. That's not, and plus they're showing in the pictures fireworks. I'm just being honest with you. People are haters. You got to be safe. Don't sell stupid things. Somebody could report you. Now with eBay's new portal that allows agencies to come onto the platform and shut people's stuff down instead of having to wait to report it, they could instantly shut you down. And if it's something illegal, they probably, since eBay's allowing them to come in there, it wouldn't make any sense for them to say, well, hey, you can't investigate a crime, an obvious crime. So don't do it. Don't do it. That could get you in as much trouble and hurt your safety of your family over a $10 item, a $20 or $30 item. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just not worth your longevity, your career, if this is what you want to do. Again, this is all I do. For me, I don't want to risk it. It's just not worth it. I know I see these type of videos for whatever reason. People always thumb down. I don't understand it, but that's the way it is. Again, if you're new or not, these are things that you should look towards doing at some point. Let's see here. I've met up before, and I know a lot of people, do sourcing and things like that. I never, ever, ever would meet up at night. Unless you've met that person like 20 times, you know them, you know where they live, you got all the information on them. I would never, ever meet anybody in the dark or real early in the morning when there's nobody around. And where we would meet, and I have met, is either at the public library, inside the building, the lobby, and I usually show up a few minutes early so I can at least see what kind of vehicle they come in, or I'll meet at the police department. They've got a front lot up there. Those are the only places I meet. Around here in Michigan, there's some people been killed from meetups. Not just a couple, but there was one recently where it was supposed to be a motorcycle sold on Craigslist. And I think the dad was shot in front of his own kid and was killed over this bike. They were trying to steal this bike instead of really buy it. And that kind of stuff happens a lot. Now, I know the odds of a lot of what we're talking about here are very slim, but as a business, you're in charge of risk management. There's a whole department in big national companies just for risk management. There might be 20 people working for a national company, maybe even 50, 100. I don't really even know. But risk management is a department in any big business. It's trying to assess exactly what we're talking about here. And that's how I take it from a business standpoint, too. Going right back to the basics, the post office box. Let's see here. I've just got a few more. I know this is boring for some of you, but I take all these seriously. Business cards. Nothing wrong with business cards, but again, don't do a personal address on it, even if it's local. So it's always going to be a P.O. box in there. I never meet anybody at my house. I never meet anybody unless it's at a specific business that we're doing our daily operations at. I wouldn't meet them at the house. I don't think technically a lot of the licenses in the past, I know in Florida, I couldn't have anybody at my house with the license I had for reselling back in those days. So, and the last one here is a couple aspects of it. Get yourself a DBA. Apply for it through your state. After you get your license, get yourself a DBA, doing business as. Don't put your personal name as your business name. Switch everything over to an actual professional business name. Don't use your personal name. It's a lot harder to separate things. Plus, it gives people information that they don't need. Usually, it's every 5 years. I think in this state, you renew it every 5 years. It was like $40-50 or something like that for every 5 years. So for like $8 a year or whatever it figures out to be, you've got another name. So you've got a little more isolation between, customers and your family, your wife, your kids, and you. And I take that seriously. We had kids, we had small kids when my wife got the death threat, and I was out of town, probably 700 miles away in Glenburn, Georgia, I think at that point. So I couldn't do anything to get there. I couldn't leave. I was responsible for duties while I was out of town. I was new to the company I was working for, so it wasn't something I could do. So again, don't have that up there, and you already have a cushion, a built-in at least block, like a firewall almost, where the information isn't available. I promise you, doing those things are huge and important to any big business or any business that you're making your entire living off of this. If this is all you do for your business, your living, you need to at least think about some of these things. I promise you, it's all a safety issue, and it's not overkill. It's not the fire or the sky's falling, everything's on fire, and we're all going to die. It's none of that. These are just standard practices that every business does. And I got one last one here, which there's probably 90, 98, 99% of every reseller out there doesn't do, even bigger ones, is have a BOP, a business owner's policy. I know Dom does. I know I would say Chuck Dave, Mr. Magazine, and Paperboy, $1 Million Peddlers. There's a few others in Patreon that I know do as well. I know they do too because they purchase it from the same people that I have ours through our business owner's policy. Again, we're going to say this one more time. If this is the only income source you have that puts a roof over your house and feeds your kids, make sure you cover your merchandise, your equipment that you need to run your business. If your house is burned down, there's an earthquake where you live, there's a tornado, you're robbed, all your equipment's burned out from lightning strike or something, all that kind of stuff is covered on a business owner's policy. If somebody tries to sue you in small claims court or something, those can be covered. It covers your inventory. It covers the shelves that your inventory is on. It's reasonable. It's cheap. I don't get a dime for saying this, but I'm not going to call out who I use. If you want to, you're welcome to contact me through one of the means that I usually answer, but it's needed. It's needed. It is definitely needed. If you rent where your business is at, chances are their insurance is not going to cover a single thing inside of the location you're renting it from. If you burn down that rental place that you're using for your business, they're not probably going to cover it. They're just going to come after you. If you're renting a storage facility and somebody breaks into it, that can be covered. If a natural disaster happens, you can be covered for loss of revenue. And this is all built into there. You can set up the package yourself, is what we literally did. When your inventory increases, you can increase the amount of coverage you have for your inventory. It's set by $100,000 increments based on the cost, not what you're stating the value is, replacement cost. So these are all things that everybody should think about. I can't say it strong enough. That's what you need to worry about once you get bigger. Once this is all your source of income. And again, this is basically our source of income to pay everything. So I want to take it seriously. I don't want to be out in the street. Same reason you have automobile or car insurance, automobile insurance. If somebody hits you and they don't have insurance, can you afford to fix your car? I know a lot of people can't. If they total the front end and it can't be driven, and you don't have enough money in the bank, and no insurance or whatever the case yourself, and they do the damage, you're still screwed. You're still unable to fix the car. You're still unable to go sourcing if this is what you do. There's a lot of folks that have reached out to me or that I've talked to in Patreon and stuff. They may only have one car for the whole entire family. Well, the wife uses it. The husband takes the wife to work. This is a true story. This is what people have told me and expressed, and I fully believe. Why would somebody make this up? And they take their wife to work. They come home, or they're maybe even have kids. They're younger, school age. They may have to take them sourcing out with them. They may have to be back, feed the kids. They may have to go back from there and pick the wife up. Then it's back to going home and enlisting and stuff. That's how it works. You may only have one form of transportation. There's all sorts of different things that you got to protect yourself from. And I just wish, if this is your only source of income, that you take these steps, and take it seriously. You're going to say, no, it's not going to happen. Why would that happen? And I'm small. I have no concerns. Who's going to mess with me? The new folks, the ones who are smaller, they mess with more. They think you are more naive and you're going to be easily taken advantage of. That's why it happens. They're not going to usually go after the ones that have massive feedback, and they're going to check your feedback out. They're going to see, can they fool you? When I worked in the restaurants or retail, for example, they used to. Here's a Disney story. I know people like some of the Disney stories. I was working at the Backlot Express. It's it's between Star Tours and Indiana Jones Stunt Show. It used to be there. And all these groups would come out. And I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but there was a group from another country in there. And they were younger kids, and what they would do is, at a register at Disney, the cashier goes from left to right, left to right. Every other customer is from one line or the other. So you can feed in 2 lines to get twice as many people out of the backlog out there. It's all set up. They engineered the lines this way. Well, if they were smart, what they were doing is they were flooding both sides of the cashier. We caught this on video. I saw it myself on video, our surveillance system. But they would have the one on the left side or right side, they would distract the cashier while the cashier's looking over here. While the drawer's open, the person on the other side was grabbing money. Wherever you can get a space, and you're going to get conned. And it's the new ones. They would literally look and see if the name tag said they had like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year pin on it. They knew not to mess with them. They'd probably seen all those scams. That's the point of that one. So they would wait to see, just like, what's that DiCaprio movie? Catch Me If You Can, maybe that's what it is. He's looking at the cashiers at the bank to pick the ones that he figured were the newest in there, the youngest, the ones that didn't have the experience. That's what they all do. I've seen it. I had to deal with it, in places I personally ran as a general manager. So anyway, let's hop over to the feed. I know that's kind of like a rant to some extent, but everybody, I got a bunch of requests on that. That's everything I would recommend for the common people out there. I've got a few other steps for bigger places and stuff that can afford a little more stuff, but that's the basics. If you're doing this on your second year and this is all you pay on your bills, I would take a note and write that down and figure out what you can do with those. Insurance would be the biggest one on the list, as well as a PO. Those should be the 2 things you should worry about first. Insurance to cover any losses if something happens to your merchandise, and you're unable to fulfill all your orders too. So if you don't have the insurance there, you're going to be dunked on eBay because you can't send out the stuff if it's burned down or lost in a disaster, or the home was robbed, or whatever the case may be. And you're not going to be able to even fix your stuff. You might not have computers anymore. It's something I always recommend. But anyway, I know we're ranted. Let's go to some comments, questions. Duncan, happy pizza day in Australia. Sellers with 500 plus listings and no sales. What are they doing wrong? I know the answer, just seeing your point of view. What I get a lot of people hitting me up with 500, 600. Don't ever think of it as quantity, but I know exactly what Duncan's talking about. I know people with just a couple listings that can make more than me on any given day of the week. They're selling volume, of course, but there's no right or wrong amount that you need. Whatever works for you is what works for you. People can do what I do without all the listings or staff or anything else like that, with smaller, different items. But around here, the where I live, that's just not possible for me to source other stuff, and I like what I sell. So if you like what you sell, you'll be happier to sell it, I think. And I like everything that I sell, I think, these days. If I didn't like it, I just pass it by. I passed up some shoes that were probably pretty darn good, but I didn't want to have to clean them, and I didn't want to have to sanitize, and they were tennis shoes too, and I know they would sell, but I'm just never happy with tennis shoes and stuff like that. And they were more expensive ones. I know there's a lot of reproductions. They weren't flexible or anything else like that. I think they were probably real, but I did pass them up. I didn't want to take any chances. They were Nike before somebody asked, because I know somebody will probably ask. Marty, Jiminy Flip It. How are you doing, Marty? Another fellow YouTuber out there. He's got some pretty darn good videos out there as well. If you get a chance, check out Marty there. I've talked to Marty for quite some time. He's honestly a nice guy, so it was interesting to see him for the first time in a video compared to, just chatting, without seeing face to face. But and right below is Daryl, Carolina Picks. How you doing, Daryl? Hopefully you're doing well. Again, for those in Patreon, new video, new posting with some items that sold, different stuff today. I think there's a comic book and another interesting item in there. Comic book, Dom, Primetime Treasure Hunter would like those. I'm big into underground and alternative outsider style of comic books personally. I can get those around here really cheap, and the value on those has been steadily going up. I got comic book shops buying from me these days, because I can afford to send them out a little less than what they're selling for on eBay. I don't have to get top dollar for everything. If I've got like a nickel into something, and I can get a quick buck, and the person's buying 5-6 items at a time, I'll give up a few bucks to give them a better deal if they're buying quantity every time, every day of the week. You'll do far better taking those kind of deals than not. I promise you. I do it all the time. I'm always doing that sort of thing. Again, I get routine, multi-purchase sales every day of the week, pretty much. Yeah, today we had one too. I was going to say, I don't think I had one today though, but I did. I had some cards today. An author of one of the books in the field that I sell in actually bought something from me today. We actually talked for a few moments, so it was kind of neat. The people who do the guidebooks and stuff. But anyway. I do have a book coming out, I promise you. It's at legal right now. As soon as it's clear through there, I got the okay, it's coming out. PDFs will be available in Patreon first before they're available to anybody else. Just FYI. There'll be a hard version of it, I do believe, what we're working on now. We're having it set up right now, that part of it, too, because we were originally just going to do an ebook version, but I've had people ask for printed, so I might do a print on demand, but it still has to be set up. Let's see here. Jennifer O'Brien, how are you doing? Good to see you in. Linda Schmidt, welcome, welcome. And Mr. Hale right below. Hey, how you doing, Bob? I think you had a couple comments on there, too. Again, I did respond to everybody just after my lunchtime about 3 or 4 hours ago. I think I answered every single thing on there. If you did have a posting or something you needed some help IDing, or we were doing the prices, just check it out again, because I needed a couple more pieces of information from a few folks to answer your questions. First part of that long video series is out too for those two, as I said. First part's pricing the postcard. Second part has placemats, glass magic lantern slides in general. We've got transparencies in the next one. You'll have 2 more videos on that coming out. I hope to get them all the items video up all by Sunday. There might even be even a small one at the end, so maybe 3, but I want to get it out to you as soon as I can. So anyway, Terry Larson, how are you doing? Mr. Lowe, how are you doing, Charles? Hope you are doing well. Good to see you in the house as well there. Let me slide down. Ray Lunenburg, how are you doing? Good evening, good evening. Storage Yard Resident. Well, welcome, Resident. Always reminds me of RA, Resident Advisor. When I first heard RA the first time, I had no clue you could sell on Amazon way back in the day, years ago. And RA, I was so used to Resident Advisor from college. That kind of was what I was thinking about. I think Pauly Shore plays an RA, and what's that movie? Son-in-Law, I think it's called. For those who don't know who Pauly Shore is, he used to be, what was it, an MTV VJ? I know history. I love history. Duncan, is eBay pay-per-click pushing other seller items who don't use it further down in the Cassini results? I haven't paid any attention to what it's doing. I'm not using it. That's all I can say. I do know, ever since I've seen the change and add-on with the pay-per-clicks, I've seen where the promoted listing will show up below your static, your actual listing, when those folks are doing the sponsored promoted listings, the standard version of promoted listings. So I have to wonder if that's part of it. I would say that eBay has an app, let's say here's the promoted listings stuff that's here. I'm just trying to give you a real quick basic. There's probably some app or coding that interchanges it with Cassini, and there might be some filtering system there that pushes certain things in a certain way when somebody has, say, a pay-per-click. With a pay-per-click, they're not beholden to sell your item. They're not beholden to do anything. Now, I've said this before, for what I sell, nothing that I sell, I can see any big benefit of using it. But I have used those before. Amazon isn't a perfect example. We've played with it on Amazon. I did it for other folks or for people that I worked for. I handled that aspect of it. So I have used it. It does work when you have quantity. When you're a business and you want to draw the attention, because the pay-per-clicks are based on basically keywords, and it's an auction basis. And at the end of the day, it draws attention to the site is basically the point, and it draws action on the site. So it looks like it's getting some action. It boosts trending a little bit, which helps boost its visibility as well. And if you're selling a one-off item, that one-off item, once it's sold, it's gone. You lost all that money you invested into getting attention drawn to that specific listing, that specific item. Just like with, it takes 30 days to 60 days for your items with the day you list them on eBay to possibly show up in a Chrome search, to rank on a Chrome search, I should say. And with Chrome changing a little bit with how the AI is now interacting with results through anything that's Chrome-wise, and with that too, they're changing the wording sometimes. Even though your title may say such and such, the results may have reworded your title on Chrome, if you didn't know that. I've seen it in person. There's a bunch of articles about it too. I follow IT stuff and Reddit boards and stuff on IT because I'm an IT guy. But anyway, let me see here. Hey Pam, how are you doing? I think I think your items, I think it's your postcards maybe. I could be wrong. I know you've got some in the video series that I did in there too, so I would check that out. Either that or I was asking for a little more information. Donald's Discoveries, how are you doing? I think you had something posted maybe too that I touched on too. Hey Deb Comley, how are you doing, Deb? May A. Aloha, another one from Hawaii. I think there's probably 6 or 7 folks that I talked to now from Hawaii. One's got a flower in their name, which I think is a pretty cool name. But anyway. Amazon Seller 99, good evening, good evening. You got Dom, it should be Don, but I forgive you. About to get crazy with Q4 starting tomorrow. Yeah, I think the 12th is the official day of the new changes on eBay, and we'll know what they do. Now, again, eBay has stated that on a post, and somebody sent me a screenshot. It's from a eBay discussion board on stuff going on, I think is what it was. It's from an eBay site, and the response says it's from eBay, that the item specifics they have in there now, or your subcategories you have in now, are supposedly going to be turned into item specifics. That might be fine and dandy, but I won't believe that I won't be forced to manually touch them, each and every one, at some point. That's been the case with everything else. I had to manually go in, and I know you can download this and that, but on comics and vintage stuff like that, like a postcard, if I'm going to be forced to put in whether it was posted or unposted, the only way I would know is looking at every one of the 4,300 or more postcards that we have up just in that one store, just on the one account too. So, I'm not going to hold my breath because I'd probably die, from all this stuff I have to worry about. Hey, Candace, how are you doing? Good to see you in. Hey, Aaron, how you doing, Aaron? Hopefully you're doing well. Aaron did a little help for me with some of figuring out on some of this, too, as did quite a few other people. I was going to put together another video on that and do some call-outs for some of those who helped, because there was quite a few that actually helped, but I did not finish that video because I'm still waiting on an answer from somebody that... Anyway, I'm waiting on a few more results. I might have something else coming up, but anyway... yeah, I see you corrected it. I'm sorry. I figure it's a typo. I've done that myself, too. Dom's a good guy, so it's not offensive, obviously. But Philly Reseller, how are you doing? Thank you very kindly. Hey, Trina, how are you doing? Hopefully you are doing well, too. Rob, hope Rob's in the house today, too. Glad to have you here also. Disgruntled Octopus, I do like that, as I've said before, the name. Morning, I don't know where you were at. Black Crystal Dice, hey, how you doing? Hopefully everything's going good on your end. Tommy Z right below. Hey, Tommy. Kelly W. The scams have already started for me, but it's going to get worse, unfortunately. Every year we have bought, now this is true, I swear to you, this is 100% true. Every year I have bought Christmas presents on eBay for the last, eBay or Amazon, I should say, the last 10 or 12 years. Every year, one of the eBay items we've gotten a scam on. I think the very first one was, and it was from Hawaii, believe it or not. It's supposed to be either a PS3 or PS4. I can't remember which one it was. And it ended up being like a couple of bricks. It weighed the same amount. I haven't weighed it out. So what I got was, a couple dollars worth of bricks that I paid the shipping on. eBay did cover it. I didn't lose anything at the end of the day, but that person was somebody who had been on for a while. They had a longer time account, I want to say a couple of years. It was all good feedback up until then. But as I watched and progressed, because eBay didn't just immediately give me my money back, it went through a process and all, which was fine. But at the end of the day, when they finally did close that person's account down, the feedback dropped down to like a 5. It was really low. One of the lowest ones I've ever seen before it actually got shut down. But it dropped like instantly. It was really quick. So they had ripped off a whole bunch of people with a bunch of crap. And that's what happened. So as a buyer, I've seen it. I've ordered stuff from Amazon, obviously, and like a lot of other people, and it'll say it's one thing, and it's a hijacked listing where somebody just took over the original listing and sending out crap. If a listing on Amazon, no one's really listing anything live on it, you can come in there and change, all kinds of stuff and pretty much take it over with your item if you're unaware. And I know Amazon says they're all over that, but I still see people doing it. The best way to tell if somebody's doing that is to read the feedback. Usually you'll see what was the last one we saw? And I took a screenshot. I just didn't do anything on it from there. But the wife was looking at, maybe it was the shower curtain she was looking at. We did buy a new shower curtain. I think maybe it was a shower curtain. But it was given descriptions of like clothing and sleeve length and stuff like that in the feedback. So it was a hijacked listing to get the feedback. They wanted the thumbs up and stuff, but we're like, this isn't even the right item. We were happy with the item, don't get me wrong, but they abused the system to get more views and to get some more reputation from an item that wasn't what they were selling. The fabric, it was fabric still, so it was a fabric curtain, fabric clothing, and it was close. It was a closer one. I've seen some that like an automotive item that they were selling like clothing in. Okay, let's pop down here. I've had to enlarge my screen a little while ago anyway. Duncan, USPS increasing prices again. Sellers must charge the full cost of shipping to buyers. I've always charged. I don't give out the discounts on shipping. We get the discounts through eBay, and eBay has an option. You click a button, and through eBay, you'll give them the discount as well to save them a few bucks. I don't do that. It covers the percentage that eBay takes out of my shipping costs. It also covers my boxes that way. And like overseas, I think it's a 55 cent, or it's either 25, 30, or 55 cents. I can't remember which. It's been so long since I put it in there. But I have a handling fee on international shipping because I go through eBay, and you can't print in the bulk sheets, and I usually stiffen the cardboard a little better, and it's usually it usually goes over. But anyway, weight wise. They're slowing down the mail service too, if you didn't see that. I did a video on that even. Holly Armstrong, 10 years doing this, and I haven't ever used a P.O. box. I agree that I should. Yeah, again, you may never have an issue, but it's that one nut job out there that you'll be sorry that you didn't get it. It's not a conspiracy. Stuff happens all the time because people track down addresses. If they know where you live, again, they can steal your garbage and stuff. If it's down by the street, there's no crime in most cities for them to steal documents you didn't shred and just threw in the garbage. We shred everything. I shred it. We burn it sometimes in the winter, too, paper-wise. Start fires. We usually burn out with a chimney out in the yard with the kids sometimes. Roasted marshmallows. Anyway. Hey, Nancy. How are you doing, Nancy? Hopefully you're doing well. Let me pop down. Hey, Trina, again, when you use Facebook Marketplace, can you arrange to get paid first before you meet to give them your item? I don't honestly do that at all on Facebook Marketplace. We started it. I had the Marketplace set up, and I don't like the rules and their policies. I think it's still the wild, wild west in my book, and I just don't want to have any issues. I'm not at all interested in meeting anybody for anything these days. For reselling. Around here, safety-wise, people are jacked out in parking lots all the time. Even if it's a safe place, I just don't want to do it. The last couple times we did a meetup, and one was at the library and one was at the police, people didn't show up on time. I get a call or had to check email standing there at the library the last time waiting for somebody for them to tell me they're in traffic and they can't get there that day. So I spent and rearranged a schedule to get there to meet him. I didn't want to send an employee in case something happened. It was my responsibility. So I did it, and I find that probably half the time that happens. People are not punctual like I am. If I'm supposed to be somewhere, I'm there 5 minutes early, wherever it is. If I think it might be some heavy traffic, I might end up being there 10, 15 minutes early, but I'm not late. My time is valuable, and I try to at least express that to the folks who I'm taking up their time. Speaking of time, I hate I have to even say this, but I cannot answer questions and comments for the most part on YouTube. The kids usually are the ones starring it and all that, or hearting it and stuff like that. They may point out one. You may see me answering one if it's like somebody's dire need or something like that. But the idea that I get attacked constantly because I don't answer a question, and then it goes into nastiness when I try to explain that I don't have, time, and people say, well, you can just say yes or no, but I would have to read hundreds of them a day. I don't have time to read hundreds of things a day. It's just not possible. I'm not a YouTuber, so to speak. My first and foremost revenue stream business is reselling. That's what I am. I talk about what I like. I like talking about what I do, so hence that's why I'm here. I do Patreon. I do invest time and do stuff but there's no way on earth. On a given day, I could have, between messages and posts and things like that across platforms, I could have 300 things to respond to. I can't do that. There's just no way on earth. To me, I can't afford it. My time is worth money. If I'm answering stuff like that, I'm taking away time I could have made money for my wife and kids and stuff like that. I have a dual responsibility to my employees, people that work for me, that rely on me to price things, to do this, to set up stuff for them. I don't have time to do it. And I wish people wouldn't attack people for doing that. I'm not the only YouTuber that gets attacked for stuff like that, but it's just, I don't get it. I understand that people's time is valuable, and I know I always hear, well, I watch your channel, you should answer my questions. Everybody says that. Every single person says, I watch your channel. If they didn't, how would they even know who I am to ask the question in the first place? This isn't trying to insult anybody or anything else like that, but I probably would get the video dinged and shut down if I showed you the stuff that people say. I've got, thick skin, so it doesn't hurt my feelings. But, man, I had 2 today and 1 yesterday where people going off that we don't answer you. I watched your videos and you refuse to answer me, and you're a SOB and FU and, oh my, talking about threats. That's another reason I separate everything. It's just not practical. If you do YouTube and you do eBay and you've got your home address written on there and someone's mad at you or whatever, I don't know. I've heard all kinds of horror stories. So again, keep yourself safe. And I know I always forget to do this, but if you're enjoying the conversation, I have 196 people in house, 83 thumbs up. If you enjoy it, please just hit the thumbs up. Show some love for the channel here. I take this serious, and I try to give you honest, sincere information, and information that I've researched, that I've used, and that can help you. That's my biggest main concern on anything. So take it as you want, but my reputation, if I give out bad information, I'm trying to steer you to screw somebody over. It's not going to look good on me, nor my store, nor eBay, or anything else. So I have no reason to feed you up, make up BS like I see from so many other channels. Like the perfume. I did a video on banned items. I probably had 3 or 4 nasty comments about how I suck and all this other stuff. And then I had a whole bunch of people telling me that perfumes are fine. All these other channels are telling you to sell used and open perfume. There's nothing wrong with it. You just list it this way. eBay won't even know, and all these other things. Perfume that's opened of any type is banned on eBay. End of story. It's in the user agreement. It's on the banned items list. And, if somebody's showing you how to bypass the system, they can get shut down just as easily. You can't sell stuff like that. If some channel is telling you to do something that's stated on the user agreement that's against the policy, that's not following safety. You're risking yourself by listening to somebody who didn't read the policy or is telling you to not worry about a policy. I've spoken to eBay on it. I don't know how many times we've asked that question to back up what the banned items list says, and it literally says opened, not sealed perfume. No other explanation is needed. That's all you should need, just like any cosmetic. And I want to add in there that there are some places, some cities, states that have laws that you can't sell that stuff. So if you sell it, even if you trick eBay, there is a chance that some agency saw you and are buying it to stop you from doing it, to show that you're violating a rule, a law. It's not worth it. Again, safety issues. Safety issues. Again, I don't be short-sighted with what you're doing in business. Always look what's going to happen a year from now over your decisions you're making now. That's the only way to do it. Always worry about the decisions you make, not overly worry. Worry about the aspect that what could it do to affect your business down the road. It's important. Again, back to the story with whose side's eBay going to take if you as a seller have violated the rules 2 or 3 times, but the buyer has never had a single altercation with eBay ever. Maybe they've been on longer than you. Just because you've been on 10 years doesn't mean that buyer may not have been on longer or have a better record than you. You never know, because I hear a lot of times that eBay always sides with the buyer. They do mostly, I have to say that, but as a buyer as well, I can understand. I've been screwed as a buyer buying stuff off of eBay. Collectibles that we collect and things like that too, so there's 2 sides to all of it. Let's see, Kelly W. I finally got myself a UPS personal box after I had someone show up at my house because they wanted to return an item. There you go. There's a perfect example right there. No further explanation should be needed on why a P.O. box is 100% important if you value your safety. I don't want somebody showing up at my house. Who knows what their intents are? I'm sorry, but I've as a general manager and as a regional manager working in brick and mortar alone, I've had my car windows bashed out, my tires slashed, I've been assaulted, I've had beer bottles thrown at me, I've had windows in the restaurant broken, I've had people fighting in the restaurant. I had off-duty police officers, 2 twins from Meridian, very nice guys. Anybody from Meridian probably knows who they are. They're the only twins I think probably still on the police force. Awesome police officers. Very, very likable guys. Funny too, but anyway. So again, be safe. Be retroactive. Make sure you're looking out for every aspect that you can think of on this stuff. Let me pop on down. Hang on, my feed just bounced. Let me go back up. Okay, I got back again. Don Enforcer, how are you doing? Angela, welcome. Hey, Linda, how you doing, Linda? What if you have packages that won't fit in the P.O. box? They put a card in there, or they put a key in your box, and then they have the big locker boxes with the double key system. That's all that happens. I have the smallest box there because I'm cheap. And literally anytime they got a big box, if they don't have an empty locker in season, I'll get a yellow card that says you have pickup. If they have an empty locker box, they'll just shove a key in my box. I'll walk over and get it out of the box. Every one of the post offices around here has that system. I think every post office I've ever been to has had something similar. Maybe they don't in every one, so it's possible they don't have one by you, but that's the option. So that means that most of the time I would never even have to go in while the post office is opened. I'm up early. Sometimes I'm already on the road by 5:30, so I can be in and out of there before traffic or anything. I don't mind even stopping by late at night because I'm up all hours usually. I talk to Dom quite often. Sometimes it's like midnight, I'm in Ohio, Tommy Z, Michigan-Ohio border area. I don't want a buyer popping over to my place unless she's really cute. Well, wouldn't want anybody popping over, honestly. Winter Crow, how are you doing? Angelo, Dollar Tree will soon be $1.50 tree. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Amazon Sarnana, and you especially need a business address if you sell on Amazon because they post your legal name and address on the About Seller page, which is true. eBay, I think the new user agreement can technically do that with a zip code and things like that, I think is what I read in there. I'll have to go back, and I took notes on that one aspect of it. But I think that's now, in fact, you're allowed to have it. There's a button you can click in settings that will post that for your customers too, if I'm not mistaken, on eBay. I just keep it. Yeah, that option on Amazon's been there for, I don't know, a long, long, long time. Duncan, I've never used a post box since 2004. I still handwrite buyer addresses on the envelopes and send out. I don't use tracking, no eBay labels, but I don't give my address to buyers. Yeah, I personally like the tracking and all that stuff. Duncan's not in the U.S., so there might be a different aspect over there. Maybe it's not as rampant issues as there are here, but anyway, you never know. Industrial Crow. Buyers can always go online and do a people search if they want to find you. I suggest a metal protector if you know what I'm meaning. If your business your business information doesn't have all your information on it either, they're not going to find it. There is, somebody can pay and get pretty much anything, but it makes it a heck of a lot harder. And with a lot of those services, they won't have your current address. I see it all the time. When I hired people for most companies I work for, we'd have to pull a police report many times too, and do a full-fledged background check. If I hired a manager, we did the full, four-court press on them, on the whole thing on it. We would check every aspect of it, their credit report, everything. I mean, I've handled all that stuff too. Some information you can't get, of course, but Thomas Gardner, only time I had a P.O. box was years ago when buyers would send us a check or sometimes cash. I just always have one. It's just practical. It actually looks more professional in my book too. RNC Forever Q, I think that's what it says. Let me see, where are we at? I owned and managed a cafe, among other things. There's a bunch of people in here who've done stuff like that too. I guess a lot of restaurateurs turn into reselling too, resellers. Scott Watson, I have a great secure application. It's called My Son. Well, there you go. Yeah, you need safety from ransomware and malware. Malware is some of the worst. Getting the Trojans and stuff like that. One thing that I'm always shocked when I hear somebody fell for it is clicking on links that you get sent through your email. I would never, ever, ever, ever click on any link without at least, and I mean at the bare bones minimum, actually checking where the from address is. If you're just like looking at it from your main email page, sometimes it looks like it's from, I get them like saying Amazon account has an issue and this and that, and I'm sure it's probably people who watch videos or something. But it's always on like the wrong account or this or that. They send them out to millions of people a day probably. And I never ever click on a link in there. If there's ever a problem with anything or anybody saying, hey, we're from eBay or PayPal, if you still have PayPal somewhere. I use PayPal for HIP and stuff still and a couple other platforms. But I just go to the site. I never go through the application or through the emails. Don't click on anything, ever. People send me stuff. I don't click on any of it. Any downloads or anything else are never looked at in any of my addresses. Never looked at. So just FYI. And then anything like a Google Doc link or something is scanned, checked, and the whole works too. And I pretty much only get them from people I have actual contact and association with. So just FYI, it's just being safe. Hang on, where'd I go? Candace knows what you're talking about. One account for business, one for personal. Yes, definitely so. I agree. Use separate accounts just for eBay. If they have access, they can bill you, and you don't want them taking your rent money out for a dispute. That's exactly the reason why, for those of you that are new, I would recommend that. When we had PayPal, when PayPal did processing for eBay, we'd keep a few $1,000s in there. People said I'm crazy, but maybe I had too much in there at the time, but I like to have it in different locations, so one place wasn't assaulted. But anyway, we do move stuff around quite regularly, but I keep them in business accounts. You know, you can have many business accounts. You can set up a business account like Duncan's talking about for just eBay, one for Amazon, one for accounts receivable, accounts payable, or whatever you want to do. You know, most business accounts with the banks around here are free. At least my bank, it's free. Let me slide down a little bit there. We're going to end it in just a little bit here. I've got something I still need to finish doing for tomorrow morning. I've got to be somewhere tomorrow. Angelo. Yeah, I have no idea who that is. Tommy Z will have to catch this one after it's uploaded. No problem. Yes, Duncan knows. You know exactly who I'm talking about. So that's a true story, as I said. Ramen noodles, Scott Watson, always tasted best after expiration. My kids eat them dry. My wife likes them that way too, not cooked, just raw. I don't like them that way at all. I don't get it, but that's what they like. One time, eBay double billed me for $395 and also several million other sellers as well. A glitch or good interest for 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't know. They would be giving themselves interest, basically, from what I would say. But, you know, stuff happens, but it happens so much on eBay, it's getting ridiculous. Hey, Annie, another YouTuber here. Annie's got a lot of videos out, too. If you want to see some interesting, good content, Annie does do a lot of good videos. I'm here, but working on a craft commission I have to get done. No, exactly. Yeah, I've been doing other videos. I just haven't had a chance to put them up yet. For those who like the 8mm films, I got some really cool ones from my personal collection I'll probably be putting up later this week as time permits. Trina, nothing wrong with ramen noodles. No, we still buy them. Shrimp or what's the one? I think Oriental was what they titled it. I think they may have changed the name to soy sauce or something, I think. Scott Watson, does anybody know how to find all your passwords for sites you visit? If you use Chrome, go up to, what is it? Settings, and then on the settings there's a password option there, and you can click to actually view all the passwords you save if you're doing it in Chrome. That would be my personal recommendation. Probably if you're not up on, you know, regulating and dealing with apps for that, Chrome works pretty good for most people, I would say. You know, and they're pretty good on notifying you if any information that's stored with them appears on any hack. They scan those automatically these days. Let me slide down here too. Tina Dutenhofer, how are you doing? Holly Armstrong, at one time I sold something and it happened to be to a person in the same town as me. She left me horrible feedback and opened a case saying I should have told her so she could pick it up. Yeah, see, that one I would probably fight on eBay too, but you can get stuff like that too. You're selling it online. It has your city name and zip code on the listing. So, you know, they're asking for you to do something that's not listed as your responsibility. So I would have fought that one, truthfully, but it's going to happen. They could have showed up at your door, though, just as easily and threw the box at you. No one would steal my identity with student loans. They wouldn't steal it because of that. They would steal it to rack up more loans on you and more charges. That's the point. They would hit people who it doesn't matter. Even if you have bad feedback, you can still, or bad credit, you can still sometimes get some of those like lower lying. You got to sign your car away almost kind of places that would give them money. Hey, there's Primetime. Hey, Dom. Yeah, this was a gift from Primetime, for those of you who know. I think I called it out when I got it. Thanks, Dom. Let's see here. Yeah, I know I must be way behind, too. We're going to go for about 10 more minutes here. Again, if you haven't hit the thumbs up, we're at 202 people in house right now. I got 115 thumbs up. If you're enjoying the conversation, please hit that thumbs up for me. Show some love, please. Yeah, Aaron, let's encourage good sellers. I do. If I'm searching for something or I'm checking prices or something, and I see somebody is maybe gonna doing something to get themselves in trouble, I usually say, hey, you better watch out, or something like that. If I see somebody doing something that violates, a safety rule, or is trying to scam somebody, I report it. I do diligence on that. Somebody tried to scam me not too long ago. I bought a couple copies, which I was told was the shelf version of Office, and I bought a couple of them from them. And come to find out that it wasn't the version they shown. They had a picture of some other item, and on and on and on and on and on. They got shut down over that too. Honestly, their account was shut down. They weren't listing anything else after that. Winter Crow lawn darts aren't as dangerous as the people who use them. It was a game, so I think the original injuries were just literally from a game. They weren't trying to hurt anybody, but yeah, these days maybe. Dunks, huh? John Jones, how are you doing? Yeah, it's not about living your life in fear. It's risk management. You're controlling your overall risk because, again, this is money we're talking about. It's not to fear or anything else like that. Once you set this stuff up, you never have to worry about it again. It's just safety steps you should always take. Standard operating procedures for every big business or corporation out there. Every mom and pop restaurant, every business that has a brick and mortar does all these steps. Well, they're not putting a P.O. box, but you can't just figure out the owner's address. You only have the store address. That's the point. You don't have their home phone number. You don't have their home information. It's just common sense, I should say. Let's see here. I usually say the best thing, Reseller review thing I can do is provide the wrapping paper for the customer's receipt. Odds low, but safety first. Odds are low, yes, but we have had not just death threat on against my wife on eBay, but we've had them on here and other places too. I don't give out home addresses. I don't give out my home phone number. Very few people have my cell phone number. Dom's one of them. There's a few other resellers too, but I don't usually give out personal information at all. You just never know. Yeah, Daryl, Carolina Picks, always look at the person's Facebook page before meeting them. Sometimes it could be fictitious too, so watch out. I just have a rule: I don't meet anybody anymore. End of story. I don't have to deal with it. I understand the need to, and it's fine for a lot of people, but it's not worth it for me. I don't, even if it's just for the being stood up part, even if it's not for the risk, because I meet in safe places, or did meet in safe places, but I hate being stood up. We sold a rocking chair. It was like an 1890s full, it collapsed. It was a collapsible rocking chair. First person didn't show up. Somebody else, like a week later, it took another week, and finally, like some relative of this person, I was like, this is really getting shady, but it did end up going through. But I wasted like an hour and 20 minutes between those two ordeals to meet somebody. An hour and 20 minutes in me, I could have sold a couple more items or earned hundreds of more dollars in that time. It's a time factor too, of course. Thanks, Scott. Let me pop on down. Yeah, they're slowing it, as I said, the post office. Can't ship to New Zealand until further notice. You can't ship to Australia to further notice either. eBay, if you're selling, if somebody buys something from Australia, eBay is ending it and canceling those listings. Or canceling the sale. I'm telling you that. I've had, 3 people, I think, as of this morning, sent me. In fact, I got a screenshot, and I said it's Australia. If you get a sale canceled, look where it's from, because they're canceling the ones that they know can't be fulfilled through the system. I don't think they can cancel them or do anything though until the sale's made, because I don't think it's caught in the system ahead of time. That's what it looks like, at least by the 3 or 4 I've seen. Let's see here. Reseller review. So first and last class postage will be the same come tomorrow. Yep. Amazon seller. Amazon now requires all sellers who sell over 10K in 1 month to provide a general liability policy. That's covered under my BOP, just FYI. And that's another reason why. In fact, I talked about this in an article on E-commerce Bytes, Ina's paper. If you have a business owner's policy, it helps. Like I can get a letter of guarantee from the bank. I can get merchandise delivered to me that I can start selling before I ever pay for it. I can get a 30-day bill of due. I can usually sell enough to pay my bill before it's due and not have to pay a dime out for the merchandise. My insurance covers losses. So if I take possession, the bank knows that if something happens, they're going to be covered. The bank knows I've had good reputation. Those give me a letter of guarantee stating that if something happens, the bank will cover who I'm purchasing from's bill, so they'll get paid. And that's how that all works. That's how that's figured into there, and why I say that you should do this. Daniel Couric. Hey, Daniel, how are you doing? I think you had something up on the community tab too. I've been told just recently when talking to an agent again that you would only cover the purchase price. I think the cash value, they said, not the retail value or replacement cost. I'm not sure if you're talking about like a lost item replacement or what. If you're talking about insurance through eBay, they have to cover the selling price of the item. Because you were paid that amount, you would be out what the buyer paid for that item if something happens. So you're out that money. So every insurance claim or case I've ever seen on eBay that I know of, you may be talking about something else. I may just be a little confused on that, but they cover the cost of the sale because the item was valued at that price by the buyer when he purchased it for that price. Hence, that's the insurance value of anything, like through the post office. The insurance value is the max that the person paid for the item. You would get the shipping, or the buyer would get the shipping back because they lost the item as well as the initial cost. So that would be everything back. Hey, Jackass Retro, how are you doing? I watched one. Jackass Retro has a channel too. He does a lot on postcards and stuff too. I saw a couple of his videos there. I was packing. I had a couple on the other day. Get a chance, check them out. Good channel too. A lot of stuff that I sell and I like too. So, let's see here. I can't show a receipt for 1830s, 40s. No, you're probably thinking 1930s, but purchased for $1 at a cash only thrift store, so they wouldn't cover it. You write your own receipts. That's all you got to do. You write a receipt, you write the location, the date you purchased it, and what you purchased there, and that's your accounting proof that you purchased it. If you want to go one step farther, if you took money out of like an ATM, or they take your card, you can use the card to back up that you made that purchase if it's a place that would take card. Cash again, write your own receipts. End of story. You could even take in the receipt pad and ask somebody there, the cashier, if they would sign it for the purchase. You know, some might not. You know, I do it sometimes at sales, and sometimes they want to sign it. But that's all I would need. And if say it's an advertised place, you just, you know, got the address down and the whole works if you need to. That's the receipts. That's all you need. That receipt is enough to prove that you bought that item and to be covered with insurance on your items. You know, but you're not going to be asked for that for a lost or damaged item through the post office or the other ship coverage that's offered on eBay. You're not going to be. It's going to cover the sale price, because that's the price, again, as I said, that it was valued at. I have 2 years or of Goodwill purchases, and colors are listed, not items. Ugh. RNC forever. Let me slide down here. Hang on, I'm trying to get to the next question. Oh, you're talking about jewelry. Again, I've never had eBay not pay, or the ship cover or the post office not shell out what the price of the item was. I can't think of a single solitary time, and I've had stuff in the $300, $400, $500 range in the past before. We had a Wizard of Oz poster. It was sold for like $345. It was like a small strip insert. They covered the full cost, shipping and everything. No question how much I paid. Nothing at all. We're gonna have to end it here in just a couple minutes. I wanted to hit it off at 8:20, which is right on the dot now. Let me slide down. ETC hosts, how are you doing? DD Mager, how are you doing? A lot of us are growing and haven't had time to do these protection steps. Thanks. Again, if you're not up on business, you may not know or think about doing this. And again, it's not the sky's falling. It's not to be afraid every day. You set it up and you're done. It's a one-time thing for all of this. You never have to change a P.O. box once you have it set up. You never have to worry about insurance once you start setting that up. These are like one-time events. Your bank account, one-time event. Everything I just said could all be done in a day or less, in just a few hours if you put your mind to it. And you'd be done. You'd never have to worry about it. You know, some of them obviously you do on a routine basis, like scanning your system and all that kind of stuff. Just like balancing your checkbook. If you don't balance your bank account, your checkbook, or whatever you happen to use, you're going to end up messing something up at some point. The Fabulous Freak Brothers, yeah, I remember those too. I've got a bunch of underground comics. I need to list a bunch more, actually. Yeah, when I get to the guidebook, I will hopefully have printed copies available pretty quickly. Oh, the Jackass Retro knows who Pauly Shore is. The Weezer or Weasel? I think Weasel, I think is what it was. It's been a while. Razzle review. I want to forget his movies exist. Yeah, it was okay. For the time it was, Father-in-Law was a pretty decent movie. For what it is, I should say. It's not like a award winner. Dave, Midwest Picker, another fellow YouTube channel guy here. Dave's a pretty good guy, too. How you doing, Dave? Biodome was perhaps the most important film of our generation. Well, I wouldn't go that far. New Jersey's UFOs, Secret Space, Chemtrails. Good evening to you as well. Happy Thursday. Tina G, how are you doing? The Hubs brought me a Nikon film scanner. Cool scan, ED. I have a grandpa's slides. Where would you focus your energy first? The best returns. Slides, famous people, of course, vintage cars, trains, ships, depots, and train stations. Jet military planes and stuff. Those are the ones that would go the best. Red Border, Kodachrome, Kodak are the best ones too. There are some blue ones. Newer ones will do good too, but red Kodachrome are usually the best ones. Red border. That means the border around the actual cardboard where the slide is mounted is going to be red. But anyway, I'm going to end it off here, not to be rude. Hopefully everybody did enjoy the conversation. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit that like button here. We've got 183 in now, 139 likes. Again, if you enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up. I do appreciate everybody coming on. Hope you're doing well on eBay. Fourth quarter starts tomorrow, so I hope everybody is getting ready. All hands should be on deck for fourth quarter. That could be probably 30 to 40% of your entire yearly income, depending on your type of business, could come from the next 3 months. So it's a huge, big difference for a lot of people, depending on what you sell. But good night, good evening, and hope you have a good rest of the week, I should say.